Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time and joining us for this webinar, Step-by-Step Implementation Support Guide. My name is Ramy Azab, and I'm Marketing Manager at McGraw Hill, based in Dubai. I know a lot of you are still joining in, so before we begin, I'm just going to pause and check if the audio connection is all right. On your screens on the right side, just below your name, you will see an icon of a hand. Can you please click on the icon if you can hear me? It's on the right side. Great, great. I see a lot of hands going up. Brilliant. So just to give you an overview of the session we have planned for you today, this is an implementation support training. As you start your academic year, you will learn about student upload, rostering, teacher account creation, addition of courses, classes. Basically, we will go over the admin features and the functionality. You'll also have the opportunity for question answers towards the end of the session. Or if you have a question during the webinar, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A box right on the bottom. Your moderators for today are, that's me, Sarish, Afsana, and Nasir. Thank you for joining us. They will be monitoring, responding to your queries in the chat box and the Q&A. Last but not the least, we've got our trainer for today, Ramy Azab. Most of you probably know already Ramy really well. Ramy is a strategic implementation consultant and works across Middle East with different implementation requirements for schools. Ramy has a great experience in software products and has a strong technology background. So he'll be leading you throughout the whole implementation step-by-step guide. Now I'm going to pass on to my colleague Afsana, who is going to go over the housekeeping slides. So
Thank you, Sarish. Just as Sarish mentioned, we will just cover a few things before we begin. So I think most of you are already connected to the audio, so I won't go over that in too much detail. But if you do have any issues with your network, feel free to disconnect from the computer, and you can actually dial in using your phone, which will help there. Obviously, any kind of high bandwidth platforms that you may be using in the home, including anybody else in the house, that could impact your network as well. And the session will be recorded, so if you do miss any parts where your network might be poor or you need to kind of pop up quickly, we will send that recording to you guys after as well. And then we will have a Q&A, as Sarish mentioned, at the end. Just one thing to mention, so your microphones are muted. Unfortunately, we can't switch those on. However, we do have a chat box and a Q&A box. On the right-hand side, I believe, should be for you guys. Just feel free to put your questions and comments in those. Obviously, the Q&A box is more for questions that you might have for Ramy, and then you can use the chat box for any comments you have as well. And I will now pass on to Ramy.
Thank you, Afsana. Thank you, Sarish. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join us today. My name is Ramy Azab. I hope you can hear me, and now I hope you can see me as well. So today we're going to be going through implementation, step-by-step support for you in order to see the implementation steps that you will need to do for your accounts. And if you have any questions at the end, just as Afsana mentioned, put them in the chat box or in the Q&A, and I'm going to answer them. So Afsana, can you please start with the presentation now?
Yeah, so you should be able to switch it from your side using the bar on the left-hand side.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So just running you very quickly through the agenda today. So I know most of you are either using our ConnectEd platform or our Open Learning platform, or both. So I'm just going to go very quickly and discuss the programs that are running on ConnectEd versus the programs that are running on Open Learning platform, and highlight the similarities and differences that you might encounter between both. And then we're going to go through a full implementation cycle demo. I'm going to be using a live account to show you the master code holder welcome email first. Some of you may get that if you're just starting with us as a new McGraw Hill customer. And if you were a McGraw Hill customer for a number of years, then you would just get an email with the updated subscriptions that you may have. Then we're going to be seeing how you can upload your students to the platform, how you can create teacher accounts using different methods, how you can add courses and classes to those teacher accounts, and then how you can assign the students that you have added to the school roster the content that you want to assign them. So moving on to Connect Ed versus Open Learning Platform. So it depends on what you're using from McGraw Hill. You're either going to be using just Connect Ed Open Learning Platform or the both of them. So Connect Ed hosts My Math, which is our math program from K to 5, Reading Wonders, which is our reading and English program from K to 6. Some of you may be using our Glencoe Math and Glencoe Science programs. They've been there for quite a while. So that's also on Connect Ed. If you're also using network, social studies, or business and electives, that's also going to be on Connect Ed. Now for our newest platforms, Inspire Science and Reveal Math, these are on the Open Learning Platform, and we're going to see both in just a minute. But I just want to allay any concerns that any of you might have regarding, oh, these are two platforms, are they two separate accounts? All of these questions. So simply speaking, they're not separate accounts. Under the same login, you're going to be able to access both Connect Ed and Inspire and Open Learning Platform. We've got a comment here. Yeah, we're going to go through Inspire Science, all of the grades. Don't worry about that. So you're going to be able to access both Connect Ed programs and Open Learning Platform programs through the same account, through the same login. Navigation between them is very easy. For the most part, they cover the same functionalities, which we're going to be discussing. There are slight differences in course addition and student content assignment, but it's not that big of a difference, but you're going to see exactly how we do that for both Connect Ed and Open Learning Platform. All right, so if you are a new McGraw Hill customer, usually we ask for a master code holder, and this is basically the admin of the system who's going to be managing all of the system requirements. So if you're the master code holder for your school and you're a new school that's working with us, first of all, welcome on board. We are very happy to have you. And second, you should have received an email by now, an automated welcome email from McGraw Hill welcoming you to our platform. So here's just a very quick snapshot of that email. So this is the beginning. And then basically you're going to see that your school has a specified 7-digit numeric code, which identifies the school that you are registered to. And then each course will have 16-digit code, which you will use to add courses on Connect Ed. For Open Learning Platform, you don't need that. And we're going to see exactly all of this on the live demo. And further to that, you're going to be getting specific instructions on what to do in terms of the website that you should visit, which is my.mheducation.com. Then you're going to get your temporary username and password. Once you log in, you can automatically change those immediately. We just send this to you for the first time in order for you to log in to your account. If you're an existing school with us and have been with us for several years, you will not get that email. You will simply get an email saying that current subscriptions or the subscriptions that you have asked for have been added to your account. So if you haven't got that email, no need to worry about that. So moving on to the implementation cycle now. So now we've covered the welcome email for the master code holders. So now we're going to be diving into a live demo showing you student roster upload, how you can upload all of your students to the school account, how you can create your teachers, whether you're asking teachers to create their accounts individually or you're going to be creating it for them as a master code holder. And then once those teacher accounts have been created, how you can add courses to those teacher accounts, create a class within that course, and adding and assigning students to that specific course. So this is the website, my.mheducation.com. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and going there in a minute. So I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so once you log in, depending on your role, you can see this page or other pages that I'm going to show you. So once you log in, the first thing that I would like you to do is go to your admin tools and check if you just have an administrator role or do you also have a teacher role as well. So in order for you to check on that, you just need to go to that button over here, which is right next to your name, click on it, and you're gonna see that you're either just an administrator or you're an administrator and a teacher. So the main reason, even if you're just an administrator in your school, that I would strongly advise that you also add a teacher role is that you will need to have a teacher role in order to upload your school roster. So if you do not have a teacher role, you can simply go to staff over here from your admin tools, click on your name, which should be available once you have an account, click on edit staff. This page will then open to you. Then you can simply click on add a new role, select teacher, select your account, and then click on save. So it's a very simple process, but in order for you to have the ability to upload your students, you need to have both an admin role and a teacher role. So now I'm assuming that we all have teacher roles. So we're gonna go back to having a teacher role. And this is the user interface for the Open Learning platform. So as you can see, as we discussed earlier, in order to navigate between both ConnectEd and Open Learning platform, you just need to click on this icon over here on ConnectEd if you want to go back to ConnectEd. It will take us back to the page that first showed up when we logged in. If you want to go back to your teacher role on Open Learning platform, you can click on that icon over here, my.mheducation.com, and it will simply take you to the Open Learning platform view. So it's very easy, it's very simple. You don't need to worry about having multiple accounts or anything of that sort. All of your student subscriptions, all of your classes, everything is going to be under the same account. You just need to know how to navigate between both and which programs are registered under which platform. So going back to ConnectEd, because this is the place where we are going to upload the students. On your right-hand side here, you have some teacher tools. The most important of them are import students, which we're going to be using to upload the students, and redeem master code, which we're going to be using later on. So clicking on import students, you're going to see that page, which will basically ask you to download the student template. So if you click on it, it's going to open that student upload template for you. So I just took the liberty of filling out some details here because there are some tips and tricks that I want to show you that you might find useful over here. So the most important fields that you absolutely need to fill and are mandatory are the last name and the first name. So last name, first name are mandatory. We strongly suggest that you fill in the grade level because when you add students later on, it's much easier to filter through the grade level. The rest are optional, but if you don't fill out your username and password, the system will auto-populate them. But also, we strongly suggest that you fill out the username and password in order for you, if you want to do it in some specific format, whether that's first name dot last name, if you want to add, for example, the class over here to the username to make the search easier later. And the password, my recommendation would be just put in, this is the password that I use, it's a standard password, which has an uppercase, a lowercase, numbers, and a character, which are some of the requirements that are required in order for the password to be accepted. So, but you can always play along with that. So you don't have to put that in exactly the same, but this is just a recommendation that I do. And for the grade level, please note one thing that's very important. You cannot put 10A, 10B, or 10C in the grade levels. So in the grade level, you need to put either a number, which is grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, whatever that is, or grade K for whoever is in KG. It doesn't accept KG, you have to put in K, or PK if you're going to put in someone for pre-K. So please take that into consideration. And for the numbers, please always have them formatted as a number and have the grade level, if it's K or pre-K, formatted as a text. So if you would like to divide your class into 10A, 10B, and 10C, I would recommend that you put that information somewhere in the username Other suggestions that I've heard from some of our schools is that they put their student IDs in the username so that the teacher can filter by student IDs, because as we know very well in the region here, some names might be duplicated. So this is just general recommendations on the best practices. You're always free to do whatever you feel that best fits your school, but this is just my personal recommendation from my experience. So once you save that document, you need to select it through the browsing option over here. Click on Check File for Errors. Okay, so luckily I do not have any errors over here, but if there are any errors, the system will notify you. Like, for example, if you have a duplicate student, it might be similar names. So if you have a duplicate student and they're similar names, you can just ignore that error. If your password does not match the password requirements, so if it does not meet the character number, uppercase, lowercase, mandatory requirement, the system will notify you. So if, for example, you put in the grade level 10A or 10B rather than just grade 10 or grade 11, the system will notify you as well. So we can try very quickly and show you how that will look like. So for example, if I put this 10B, and I put this, that, and if I save, go back, load again, check file for errors. So here, as you can see, the system will exactly highlight the errors that are in the sheet, and you're going to see the exact row of those errors. Of course, you're going to have a much bigger sheet than the one that I'm using now. It might be 1,000, 1,500 students, whatever the number is. So you're going to see the exact row where the error is, and you're going to see here a description exactly of what the error was. So here it says passwords are case sensitive and must be 8 to 20 characters. So you're going to need to adjust that, and then the grade level, as we mentioned, either has to be pre-K, K, or 1 to 12, or not available. So if you have any errors on the file, you're going to get notified over here, and then you can easily correct it and come back and upload it again. Once you've corrected that and uploaded, the system will just take a couple of minutes to upload those students. And once you've done that, you can easily access directly your admin tools over here if you click on it. Go to Manage Users, and you will find your list of students over here. Okay, let's assume that you've done this in the beginning of the year, and for whatever reason you need to make some changes. There's a new student that is joining. You have a couple of new students that are going to be joining the school. So if you do not want to upload the sheet again, and you just think that the number of students that you're going to be adding is not that big for you to consider uploading the sheet, another way to add students is to just go to the Create Student button over here. Click on that, add the student details. So you're going to add the first name, last name, grade level, add their email address if you want, username and password, select your school, and then click on Create. So you can either do this by uploading the sheet, or you can add the students manually by one. Okay, so that's it for the students. Now we move on to the teachers and the staff and how we can create their accounts for them. So as an admin, you're going to be already having your account visible to you on the school district over here. So if you move on to the school account itself, so for each school, you're going to have a district and a school account. You can create your teacher account by two ways. The first way is to send the teachers the registration code that you can access through View Registration Code over here. Copy that registration code and send it to all of your teachers. So what your teachers need to do from that point is go to the same website, my.mheducation.com, click on Create Teacher Account. Then this page is going to open for them. So as you can see, the school name here is dimmed. So what you need to do is paste the registration code. Each school has a very specific registration code that is only attached to that school. So once you fill in the registration code, it's going to open this for you, where you can just type in the first couple of letters to see the name of your school. Enter your school email address. Twice. Click on Create Account. Then you're going to be asked for your first name, last name. Phone number is optional, so you don't have to put that. And then you need to put in a password which matches the requirements over here. Then put in the password again, check the box, and click on Submit. Once you click on Submit, you're going to get an automated email with your username and a chance for you to log in. And basically, if you want to change your username after that, you can do it, and I'll show you how. But once you get that, you're good to go. You're going to have your account set up and everything. So this is one way where each teacher can do this account set up for herself or himself. The other way that you can do it is that if the administrator has some time and they want to create the teacher accounts for them, they can just simply go to Create Staff over here, fill in the teacher names, details, email address, select the username and password, and then you can always select to have a notification sent to this account. It's going to be easier for them to log in. Select the roles. So in all likelihood, you're going to be selecting a lot of teacher roles, not admin roles. But if some of the teachers would like to have admin roles as well, that you can select one role, click on Add an additional role, select the other role, and then click on Create. Once you finish that process, all of the teachers that you have created are going to be visible on the staff list. So you can always extract that staff list if you want to keep it somewhere by clicking on that icon and click on Export Staff. It's going to be exported into an Excel sheet if you want to keep a track of that. So here are all of the details that are extracted from the system. Okay, so now we've covered the student upload and how we can upload students to the system. Now we've covered the two ways where a teacher can have their accounts created on the system. So the next thing that I want to get into, and is very important, is how can teachers actually add the courses to their accounts. All right, so a very important icon that master code holders are going to have to keep track of is the Manage Product section over here. So if you click on Manage Products, a new tab will open for you with every subscription that you have with McGraw Hill and all of the details of those subscriptions. So here we have My Math for grade 3. This is just a test account, so it's a sample. We don't have a lot of products here, but I have the major ones that you're going to be using a lot. So we have Math for grade 3, we have English for reading for grade 2, and then we have Science for grade 5 and Reveal Math Course 1 for grade 6. So here you can see the program that you have, you can see the total seats that you purchased, and then you can see the seats that are available. So once your teachers begin adding courses to their accounts, those numbers are going to be different, and you can always keep track of which teachers are using which accounts. And once I add some of those classes, we're going to see exactly what shows up in here and how you can view what the teachers are using. Okay, so something very important that we want to highlight here, since we're going to be moving on to the addition of the courses. For the courses that are running on ConnectEd, you need to expand them in order for you to be seeing the 16-digit master code that you will need to add the course with. Okay, so courses running on ConnectEd, My Math, Reading Wonders, Glencoe Math, Glencoe Science, you need to click on that expand button to see the 16-digit master code. For courses that are running on Open Learning Platform, you're going to see the 16-digit code here anyways, but you do not need to know it or copy it because the addition process does not need that. It's a bit simpler. So let's keep that tab open. By the way, if you're a master code holder and you want to print that and send it to your teachers in order for them to add their accounts, you can always click on the print button, and then you can have it saved as a PDF. So you can then click on print, have that saved. All right, so I'm gonna keep this open, and then we're gonna be moving on into how you can add your classes on both Open Learning Platform and Connect Ed. Okay, so we are now on an admin role, so I want to switch back to a teacher role. So if I click on teacher, we're gonna do just that. All right, we have some classes that are existing here already, but in order for you to add your courses and classes, there's a very simple way to do it. You just need to click on create a class. You don't need the master code, the 16-digit code or anything. Once you click on create a class, all of your courses that are available on Open Learning Platform are going to be visible in that list over here. So if you have more courses, if you're using more Inspire Science grades or more Reveal Math courses, all of them are going to be available over here. So if you just click on whatever grade and course that you want to add, give it a name that you would like. So if you have multiple classes and you would like to do that for 5A, 5B, and 5C, for example, then name it that way. Select the subject, select the grade level, select the start date and the end date, and then click on submit. Once you do that, it's going to be showing up on your list over here. So if you have multiple classes, as we mentioned, then you can always create another class, add that class using the exact same way, and just rename it another name so that you can identify which class is designed for which. Okay, so as you can see here, there's a little thing that says class code. This is the redemption code for the class. And what I mean by that is that the students can use that code in order for them to add themselves to the class. But there's a much easier way for you as a teacher to add your students to the class, which basically saves them the hassle of you sending them the codes and them logging in and then clicking on add class and then entering the redemption code and everything. So this, by the way, applies to all of the levels of Inspire Science and Reveal Math. So it doesn't matter if you're using grade 5, grade 6, or grade 1, or for Reveal Math, anything between 6 to 12, Algebra 1, Geometry, whatever it is. This all applies, it's exactly the same thing. So if you click on launch over here, you are going to be accessing that specific class. On your left-hand side, you have your full menu. In order for you to add your students, you need to go to roster, click on it, click on edit student roster. And here you will find two sides where you can see the students. One side is the school student roster and the other is the class student roster. So remember the Excel file that I showed you and that I had a couple of students written in it? When you upload that Excel file, all of your students, the entire school roster will be available here. So this is why one of my suggestions is if you can manage to put in the class in the username or the student ID in the username, when you search by username over here, you can search by anything that you want, whether that's a name, the class, or whatever metric that you would like to use, but it has to be in the sheet. It will bring you the students that are associated with your certain class. So once you have your students available and you would like to add them, you just click on each one of them and then click on Save Roster. They should show up here, so let me try that again. All right, perfect. So now that you've saved your roster, you're going to be seeing all of your students who you've added to the class over here. And it says here that students can enroll in this class with that code, but once you've made that step, you don't need to send it to them or anything. Once they log into their accounts, they will find the class automatically on their page. So that's why I'm saying there's both ways you can do it, but This is much easier for you to ensure that everyone is on board your class. In some cases, when there is a substitute teacher or there are several teachers that are teaching the same class and you want to add that teacher to that same specific class, you don't want to create another class for that teacher, you can always go to the teacher button over here, click on it, click on edit teacher roster, and just follow the exact same steps. So let's say that this person is the primary teacher for that course, but for whatever reason, they might be taking a leave, there might be someone coming in as substitute for whatever amount of time. So if you need to add that someone to the class, you just need to click on them over here, or remove them if you want, and then click on Save Roster. Once you've done that, this teacher will have access to everything in the class that you have access to. The final thing that might be of benefit for you here is if you go to the settings, you can change some of the things that you have already done when we first set up the class. So if you want to change the class name, for example, you want it to be a standard thing after that. You want to change the subject, I highly doubt it, but that's always an option. Everything is available here. If you want to change the end date, sort out the students in another order than it's already sorted out, you can always do that from the settings button over here. So this is how you can add your students to the class as it pertains to the open learning platform. So let's go back and let's switch back to Connect Ed. I'm going to click on the Connect Ed icon over here. Okay, so now we are on Connect Ed. In order for you to add your courses on Connect Ed, you need to go to Redeem Master Code, the yellow icon over here, and click on it. Once you open that, the system is going to ask you for the 16-digit code that you need in order for you to identify that specific course. So this is why it's very important as a master code holder that you send your teachers that document so that they have access to their master codes. So let me start by adding math and English. So I'm going to copy that. If you paste it, it will fit in seamlessly and automatically. Click on Next. Click on Add Content. So now you've added the teacher edition for Math Grade 3. What you need to do next is also add the student edition, and this is one of the differences between Open Learning Platform and Connect Ed. In Open Learning Platform, you do not need to add a student edition. It's just one edition of the class that's going to be visible to you as we saw before. But in Connect Ed, you're going to be needing to add both the teacher edition and the student edition as well. So if I come and copy that over here, click on Paste, click on Next, the system is going to ask you for the end date for your class. I suggest you put that somewhere along the end of the semester or August maybe, so that you can be on the safe side. So I'm just going to put any date, click on Create Redemption Code, then click on OK. So now I've added math. Now I'm going to add English using the exact same process. Go back, add the student edition as well, paste it over here, click on Next, select the date, create redemption code, and now both math and English have been added to your Connect Ed courses. So then we need to go back to your main page by clicking on Connect Ed and accessing the teacher edition in order for us to start creating a class and then adding students to that specific class. So once you click on the teacher edition, you're going to get some messages, quick guide tours. And then you can go to your main menu over on the left-hand side at the top, select class management. So this is an existing class already that's been created before, but if you would like to create a new class, you click on Create a Class. Let's say you name it grade 3A. For the lower grades, you can always click on Use Simplified Login and choose an icon for the kids if that will be helpful for them to identify that specific class. It's kind of fun and easier for them. And then click on Save. Once you've done that, you're going to be getting all of the details of your class over here. So the next step is for you to add your students to that specific class. So it's very easy. You just need to go click on Add Students. Search for your students using those different metrics. So if you have added your students to the specific grades in the Excel sheet that we talked about, then you're going to be able to filter them through here. Or you can filter them by first name, last name, or the username. So I'm going to add one student here to just see as an example of how we can assign that student content over that. So you can add as much students as you want to your list. But the most important thing that you need to do after that, and please remember this because it's a bit different from Open Learning Platform, the students haven't been assigned the content yet. So I know you've added them to your class over here, but there's one more step that you need to ensure that you do in order for those students to be assigned that content. You need to go back to your main page by clicking on the main menu on the left-hand side on the top and clicking on Connect Ed. Go to your student edition and click on Assign Content. So click on Assign Content on the student edition. The same exact course is going to show up to you automatically with the redemption code, which you can send to the students to add themselves as well, but this is much easier for you to ensure that every student is added to your class. So select your course, click on Next. And the students that you automatically added inside are going to be showing automatically here. So you don't need to search for them again or anything. All of the students that you added to your class on the teacher edition are going to show automatically over at the student edition over here. So you just need to simply select the student or select all of the students if there are multiple students by that icon over here. Click on Next. And then click on Assign. Over here, by the way, you're going to see how many seats you have available. So if you're ever out of seats, you're going to have a notification over here. So once you click on Assign, that student now has received that content. And once they log in from their account, they're going to be seeing My Math Grade 3 automatically, just as they're going to be seeing Inspire Science Grade 5 or 3 that we just did automatically. So the exact same thing we're going to do in Reading Wonders for English, but it's just a little bit of a different interface or a little bit of a different view, but it's the exact same process. So if I click on Wonders Grade 2 Teacher Edition, it's going to give me access to the full Wonders platform. So we can do that later. Okay, so what we need to do is go to Manage and Assign, click on Class Details, and your class is going to be created automatically through the Wonders process, but if you want to create an additional class, you can always click on Create a Class. Name that class, click on Next. Decide what your first teaching day is going to be, because accordingly, Reading Wonders is going to auto-populate your calendar with that. You can edit that, of course, after, but yes, proceed. So basically, the system is telling you that this is your first teaching day and that we're going to auto-populate your calendar with your lessons and everything according to that teaching day. Ignore that because these are US holidays, so you don't need to give too much thought in that. And then click on Save. And now you have built your class. Once that is done, you can go again to Class Details. Go to the bottom of the page, click on the student icon plus over here. It will open for you the exact same thing that we've seen, but just in a little bit of a different interface. You can search by grade, but I'm not sure what grades we added here, so I'm just gonna search by the same student. Add him to the class, click on save. So now that student is gonna be added to that specific class, and please always remember, this is Connect Ed, so we're gonna have to do the exact same thing that we did with My Math, which is go back to Connect Ed. Go to the student edition of Reading Wonders, click on Assign Content. That redemption code is the code that you can send to the students in order for them to self-register themselves. But again, always easier to register themselves, for you to register them, I'm sorry. Click on Next. Automatically, the name will pop up here of the students that you selected. Select them, click on Next, and then click on Assign. Once you've done that, when that student now logs in, he's going to automatically see that he has math, he has wonders, and he has science for his student page. So now they all have all of the courses on their page. Okay, so this is it as far as adding courses. By the way, for any other course in Connect Ed, it's the exact same process. You're just going to have to expand on the master code. So if you're using a course that isn't shown here, whether that's Glencoe Math, Glencoe Science, Social Studies, Business, or electives, you need to do the exact same process. Just copy the master code for both the student and the teacher edition, paste it in Redeem Master Code, and then basically just follow the steps that we've just seen to add those courses, and use the exact same method to add students and then assign them that content. So I want to go back very quickly to the admin tools to show you a couple of things after we already added all of those classes. So this was our page for the products. Okay, my page is, never mind. Okay, so I want to refresh this. Okay, as you can see here, since I've refreshed this, now you can see that all of the seats that were available are now not available because we've redeemed this content and registered it. So if you click on teacher list over here, you're going to see exactly who from the teachers are going to be using that specific content. As a master code holder, you have the access to remove those teachers. Let's say, for example, if a teacher left the school, or if a teacher was teaching a certain grade and got switched to another grade, there's always the option to remove that teacher from that specific content in order for you to free up that seat. And you're also going to see the redemption code list. So you're going to see that that teacher has redeemed that content, and the number of students that were assigned that content is just one here because we only have one student. But if it's more than that, then you're going to see the exact number of students that that teacher has assigned this content to. So if you have, for example, a couple of classes on that specific grade, you're going to be able to see all of the teachers and exactly how many students are assigned that specific content. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for 1 second because I need to log in again to the page that we lost. Okay, we're now back on. Perfect. So one final thing that I wanted to show you before we have some Q&A for the last 10 minutes of the session is some of the other options that you have as a master code holder. So we've already covered manage users. This is where you can see your students and your staff and add new students and staff if you wish to do so, as well as send your teachers the registration code if you want them to add their own accounts. The option of manage class rosters basically gives you a view of all of the classes that the teachers have so far added and which grades and which subjects they are using. So these are the ones that we just did. So all of them will be visible to you as a master code holder over here. Import students, ignore that for now because we're doing it through the teacher view of Connect Ed. So this is not yet available from here. So if I click on it, it will just give you instructions to do exactly what we did. View organizations is just a very simple page where you can, if you have multiple campuses across your school and you want to view the different campuses, you can click on view organizations and view that. But other than that, you won't be needing it that much. Usage reports are not yet active, but we can start specifically activating those usage reports upon your request. So I suggest we're going to be starting doing that from our side, and you can always reach out to your representative as well in order for us to activate that. And as we've seen before, managed products is the one where basically gives you a very nice overview of all of the subscriptions that you've been using, how many seats you've purchased, which seats are available, and which teachers are using those specific seats, and how many students are covered through those seats. So that's it for me for the demo. Let me take a look very quickly at the chat and Q&A because as I was presenting, I didn't get a chance to.
There are lots of questions from me. If you like, I can read them out to you and you can answer them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Thanks,
perfect. Because I know you were really busy presenting, but at the back end, we've got a lot of questions for you and some might help. So I can read them out for you. And thank you so much. That was a very thorough session, Ramy.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I hope it was beneficial.
Okay. So there's a question from Nico. Can our all teachers use the same account?
Can they use the same account?
Yeah, the all teachers.
Okay, so basically each teacher has their specific account. If you want a teacher to use the same account, then they're going to have to share the username and password. The other way for them to access the same class is the way that we've seen here. So if we go, let me switch very quickly to the teacher role. Click on launch. Roster. Teachers, edit teacher roster. That way you can add several teachers and they can see the same class. But teachers sharing the same account, it's not recommended. And yeah, as I said, they're going to have to share the account credentials.
Okay, thanks. Also, for everyone who's attending the webinar, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box below and we can address them now.
Okay, Serge, I can see that there are some questions in the chat box. So let me go through them. Okay, can the students change the password after the first login? Yes, absolutely. Actually, when they first log in, the first thing the system is going to ask them is for them to change their passwords. So that's absolutely doable. Good afternoon, the username and password. Do we create them? You have two options. So basically, you have the option for you to add them to the sheet over here when you're uploading the students. So this way, you are identifying the username and password that you want to create. Or if you leave that blank and just upload the sheet as it is, the system is going to auto-create that. The other way that you can do that is if I go to administrator over here, and you're not adding bulk students or anything, you're just adding a student or two, then you can simply, let me share my screen. Okay, so you can simply go to the create student. Let me go back because I didn't notice that I was sharing my screen, so let me go back to that. Okay, so this is the main page of the admin. If you want to add a student, you're going to add their mandatory details. The username and password are not mandatory, so if you leave those empty, an automated username and password are going to be generated for those students. The same applies to the sheet as well. So if you fill them out in the sheet over here, you're going to see that they're going to be the same when you upload the sheet. But if you leave that empty, it's not mandatory. We recommend it, but it's going to be auto-generated by the system. So it's totally your choice, but my personal suggestion would be try to find a username that's identifiable to the students and the teachers as well, something that they can relate to. Whether that's adding the class at the end of the username, whether it's adding a student ID, it's always totally up to you. But yeah, it's your choice at the end of the day. Let me check if we have any other questions.
Excuse me, Ramy.
Yeah.
A bit of a clarification on one of the questions asked earlier about sharing the username for access by teachers. I see some there might be a confusion on the user's part. There are demo credentials that we share with teachers for testing purposes.
Okay.
So they are welcome to share those demo access codes or access credentials, but they are not for actual usage, because you are supposed to, you as a teacher are supposed to have your own username and password so that you can have your own class to manage and you can have your own customized stuff inside your account. So it is not recommended that teachers share with each other the same username and password. Every teacher is supposed to have their own username and password. And if you don't have it, please check with your MasterCard holder. They must be able to create one for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nasir, very much. I didn't take into consideration the demo account factor. So yeah, as Nasir kindly explained, for the demo account, this is just for you, like before you have your account, to check on the content, try it out for a little bit. But once the school has the subscriptions and the account is ready and everything, there's no limit on creating teacher accounts. So we strongly suggest that each teacher has his or her own account. And if you want to share the same class, then that's possible through the way that we did it. If you're adding a student manually, does it automatically generate a username and password? Same thing. If you decide to enter the username and password, that's the username and password that the student is going to have. If basically you left it empty, then basically the system is going to generate it automatically. My question is about the meaning of sharing the same class for multi-teachers. Does it look like a real class? I'm sorry, I understand the first part of the question, but I'm not sure what do you mean by does it look like a real class? Can you further elaborate on that? Okay, so in the meantime, I'll just explain this again very quickly. So if the teachers are sharing the same class, so if I go back here, select any class that I want. Okay, go to roster. Click on teachers. Click on edit teacher roster, and this way you can have multiple teachers having access to the same class. So this is the way for you to have multiple teachers having the same class. Okay.
And here we need to I think highlight a practice that again related to the previous answer I answered, that sometimes you need to have a co-teacher. In that case, you can share classes. And you can add, as Ramy is showing, you can add another teacher to the same class. But if you are an individual teacher with your own class, then you're supposed to have your own username and password with your own classes.
Ms. Layal, you're asking, why does it say there are no products in my account, although I'm the admin? We're going to need to check that. So I suggest I'm gonna write my email at the end of the session, but I suggest you reach out. I'm not sure from which region, but I suggest you reach out to us, and we can see from our side if there's any problem with the content assignment. But rest assured that we're gonna have it sorted for you at the earliest. Does that, Mr. Benson?
Ramy, I know you've covered this, but there's a question about where exactly can I find create a class option on the platform?
All right, no problem. So let's go back to the main menu.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so it depends on what subject you are teaching and whether it's open learning platform or Connect Ed. So if it's open learning platform, which I am on at the moment, you just need to go to the top right of your page, click on create a class, select the specific course that you want to select, fill out the details. They're very simple details. You can just name your class however you want it. If you have multiple classes, 5A, 5B, so on and so forth. And then click on submit. So once you do that, you're going to have your list over here. So that is applicable to open learning platform. If you're teaching a course on Connect Ed, so you need to go back to Connect Ed over here and access the teacher edition for the course that you'd like to add a class to. So let's say, for example, you're going to click on the teacher edition for My Math Grade 3. Over on the top left of your page, you're going to have your menu for everything. And of course, for teachers specifically, we're going to be covering all of those details in our product sessions that are upcoming in the next week. You're going to be getting the invitations for those pretty soon if you haven't got them yet. So if you click on class management over here, this is where you can add different classes. So if you want to create a new class, you can click on create a class and just follow the steps and save. If you edit the class, you want to edit the name, you want to edit the icon, and if you want to share the class for co-teachers, as we discussed on the open learning platform, you can select whoever you want to share the class with. So this is for My Math. For Reading Wonders, it's almost the exact same idea. It's just a little bit of a different interface. So we're going to go to the teacher account. Click on Manage and Assign. Go to Class Details. So that's already a class that we created earlier. If you want to do anything with that class, you want to remove it, you want to edit it, you want to share it with another teacher, you can always do that. Or if you would like to create an entirely new class, you can click on Create Class and then follow the steps over here, which will basically ask you for the class name. And then it will ask you for the first teaching day because Wonders auto-populates your calendar automatically. Click on Next, Proceed, and then basically click on Save, and that way you will have created your class. Do we have any other questions, Serge?
Yes. What if more than one teacher teaching the same grade level? So how do you specify the classes that belong to each teacher?
Okay, good question. So basically, yes, since each teacher, she's going to have her own account, so she's going to be seeing the classes that she added to her own account. So let's say, for example, that I'm Ramy, I'm teaching My Math Grade 3, and Sarish, my colleague, is also teaching My Math Grade 3. So this is my account. So I'm going to see My Math Grade 3, and I'm going to add, for example, classes 3A and 3B, because I'm teaching 3A and 3B. Sarish is going to add the exact same course on her page through her account, but she's going to add 3C and 3D, so that you have something that identifies that that teacher is teaching 3A and 3B, and that teacher is teaching 3C and 3D. So how you classify your classes is totally up to you. It depends on how your school is doing it. And even, by the way, even if it's the same name, which is not recommended, but even if it is, unless you decide to share the classes, if you have the class on your account, only you can access that class. So no one else will have access to that class, unless you decide that you want to share it with other teachers.
And another question, when creating a class, can you add as many students at once, or this must be done individually? Same with teachers.
No, absolutely. You can add as many students at once. It's just that the account that I'm using, I don't have many students uploaded. It's just 6 students because it's a test account. So I just uploaded one. But no, once you open that icon, Serge, I'm unable to share my screen. Can you give me back the presenter rights? I think.
Oh, sorry, I'll do that right away.
Yeah.
We're actually on time, so we're just trying to wrap up quick.
Okay, perfect. Just let me go through this very quickly, and then we can wrap it up. So. Okay, so if you go to class management over here and you click on add students, the only reason it's not showing for me a list of students is that I was searching by the first name. So basically, that's why it only brought up one student. But if you filter by grade and you had that specific grade, many students, all of the students will show up, and then you can tick them and add them all at once. So this is just the individual case of that account, but you can always add multiple students. This is when it applies to ConnectEd. When it applies to Open Learning Platform, you'll see that it's going to be showing all of the school roster anyways, so you can select from that roster and just tick on the students that you want to add. Show you this in a moment. So click on roster, edit student roster. So the way, in order for you to add multiple students at the same time, you just click on multiple students over here, and then you can click on save, and that way you can add students all at once. Okay, perfect. So I think we don't have any more questions. Serge, can you confirm that?
Yeah, I suppose we've covered them. And we're crossing up time, so I hope we've covered your question. Ramy, there's one last question, which is a popular question, is how do I get the registration code to create teacher account?
All right, so what you need to do is go to an administrator role. So on your menu over here, first icon is manage users. So in manage users, you have students and staff. So you just need to go to staff, click on view registration code, and just copy this and paste it and send it to your teachers. And then your teachers can basically go to my.mheducation.com, click on create teacher account, paste that. Okay, that's the wrong paste, but you can paste that and then follow the steps. It's very simple. Just add school name, your email address, and everything. And then you can create your own account using that way.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you all for your time and for your engagement and the questions that you asked. I hope, as Serge is mentioning in the chat, we have a repeat session on Friday for those who couldn't attend on a weekday. So be sure to relay that message if someone wants to attend. And it was great having you all, and thank you for joining.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to quickly say that the same page that Ramy has mentioned, and I've also given in the chat box, there's a support resources. A lot of it that Ramy has covered is in the link that I have shared. And you can check out, if you go help here, open this up. This will open up a lot of windows for you to get navigation and a lot of support resources that you can go through. So that should really help. And a lot of you have asked if we are sharing the recording of this session. So this session is being recorded, yes, and we will send the recording through the reps in your region. So you should be able to have a recording of this session. If you have any questions, anything, please drop us an email there on the email marketing.imia@mheducation. And as Ramy mentioned, we have a repeat session, and we hope you enjoyed this session and it was useful for you. And we'll stay in touch. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.